I'd like to start with a question. How many of you have been watching the latest David Attenborough series, The Green Planet? Hands up. A fairly good number. Yes. Pretty comprehensive. I'm not surprised. It's absolutely awesome, isn't it? For me, what I think is particularly wonderful is the way it gives us a rare insight into the complex beauty of our precious, fragile world, and the way one thing is so deeply connected with everything else. But at the same time, there's something rather sad and regretful about many of the revelations. The fact, for example, that the giant redwood trees of California, whose magisterial beauty has been built up over thousands of years, are now suffering the impact of man-made climate change. People all over the world are waking up to the scale and the urgency of the climate crisis. But I think for Christians there is a particular sense of responsibility and calling. How can we say we love the Lord our God with all our heart and soul and mind and strength if we do not also honour and care for the gift of this beautiful planet which he gave us to live on? How can we make any difference in our own small corner of the world? How can we be salt and light in our local areas and help reverse the decline of species and habitat? Well, Eco-Church gives us a structure and a framework in which to take small, practical steps to improve our choices and our behaviours for the sake of the planet, and the opportunity to develop an ongoing relationship with many hundreds of other churches up and down the country that have embarked on the same journey. So this morning I want to talk to you about Eco-Church, what it's all about, and how you might get involved. Why today? Well, two reasons really. One being that a few weeks ago we received a prestigious Eco-Church Bronze Award. We want to celebrate that and give thanks for all the hard work of many people across the whole church family who helped us to achieve that. But that is just the start. Today also marks the beginning of the journey to silver. And of course, as we progress along the road, it becomes more and more challenging. So that journey won't be possible without the help and support of more and more people in all sorts of different ways. How might you get involved? What are the unique gifts and talents and enthusiasms that you possess that you might be able to bring to the table? So, one of the things we'd like you to do today after the service is to fill in these cards that you received when you came in. It's just a way of us getting an idea of who is interested in what. Don't worry, you won't be signing your life away. This is just an early expression of interest so that we can keep in touch and keep you fully informed. And after the service, while you're thinking about that, please have a look at this display over here that Sean has created, which gives you more of a flavour of the project. Before I go into detail about Eco-Church, I want to emphasise that this isn't just a tokenistic add-on affair borrowed from the secular world. This is a programme that is rooted in the Christian faith, and it's a programme that allows us as Christians to put our faith into action, caring for God's creation and all the life it sustains. And in this, our gospel passage today seems particularly relevant. It's a fascinating two-stage affair. On the one hand, utterly sublime and transcendent, and on the other, utterly down to earth and messy. First, we have the transfiguration of Jesus on the top of a mountain, and then the next day, the healing of an epileptic boy down on the plain. One moment, Jesus is being bathed in heavenly light, and the next, he's getting his sleeves rolled up and getting stuck in with life in all its grittiness and pain. But one is not possible without the other. That feels to me to be like a good model to bear in mind. It illustrates, I think, that everything we do must be rooted in the energizing power of God and his Holy Spirit. It's no good staying up there on the mountain. We need to come down, roll up our sleeves, and get stuck in. And in a practical sense, Eco Church allows us to do just that. So what's it all about? Well, Eco Church invites us to think about 5 key areas of how we live and work as a church and as a community, and how we engage with the wider world. Those topics cover our buildings, our land, our worship and teaching, our community and global engagement, and our lifestyles. Let's pitch in with that last one, because it's something that we've touched on quite recently with our invitation to adopting this year New Year's resolutions. And it's also very topical because here we are in Fair Trade Fortnight, a time in which we as consumers use our collective purchasing power to ensure that the rights of the people who grow and harvest many of our essential items like tea, coffee and sugar, bananas, just to mention a few, to ensure that they are properly protected and recognised and rewarded. It's all about the core Christian value of justice, or fairness, as the name Fair Trade suggests. And that's why we included in our New Year's resolutions the invitation to buy, according to an acronym, LOAF, which stands for Local, Organic, Animal Friendly and Fair Trade. The other lifestyle choices we suggested were equally important. Firstly, cycling or walking to church to help improve our health and fitness and to reduce our carbon emissions. And secondly, shifting our banking, our pensions and our savings wherever possible to institutions that prioritise ethical and sustainable values, really putting our money to good effect so that it can build for the kingdom. And also signing up with a green energy supplier. So that's lifestyles. Let's move on to buildings. First of all, it means thinking about energy efficiency. Some of these measures, like switching to a green energy supplier and installing LED lighting, are things we've already done. Some things we can do in the near future, like insulation and draft proofing. And some will be more challenging, like installing renewable energy generation. But since heating and lighting are the prime sources of our CO2 emissions, they're things that we need to think about seriously if we're going to reduce our carbon footprint. Next up is land. For the sake of preserving and protecting nature, the management of our land is also a vitally important topic. Here in the UK, we are one of the most nature-depleted countries. So there is an urgent need to halt that decline and to promote biodiversity. Here at St Mary's, we're blessed with a large and beautiful churchyard that is home to many different species. And thanks to the support and engagement of many people, We are helping that to survive and to flourish with the planting of trees and the sowing of wildflower seed that is good for insects, the building of bug hotels, and more recently with the installation of bat boxes and bird boxes. The fourth topic is community and global engagement. That's all about taking these values that are concerned with protecting nature and our environment and applying them more broadly, initially to our local community and then to the wider world. So that means working with local groups like Climate Action Wendover, with our local council and with our MP. It means taking our Christian values, our faith, and putting it into action. Campaigning for justice and peace and a fairer and more sustainable world free from the scourge of poverty and violence and the devastating impact of climate change. It means fundraising and supporting charities like Christian Aid with Christian Aid Week, Tear Fund with toilet twinning, and wherever possible, buying products that are sustainably produced, ethically sourced, and fairly traded from our own shop, Just. Last and certainly not least is worship and teaching. This is all about strengthening the links between our Christian faith and our care for God's creation. This is not just about adding an occasional special Sunday to our calendar where we think about creation and then forgetting about it for the rest of the year. This is making it a primary concern that is core to everything that we do. So making sure that it shapes our music and our liturgy, our prayer and our teaching, and all our decision making, wherever that takes place, either within the ministry team or the standing committee or the PCC. At its heart, it's about a way of seeing our future as a species and the future of our planet as inextricably entwined. As I said, this is the beginning of a journey. And from this early perspective, it may feel like quite a daunting one. The scale of the climate crisis and the need for urgent solutions is a colossal task. But the great thing about Eco-Church is that it makes it possible to take small, incremental steps and to take those steps together. Empowered and energized by prayer, we can roll up our sleeves and go out and try and make a difference. I'm going to end with two quotes. The first one, a contemporary one. In the words of Greta Thunberg, it's never too late to do as much as we can. The other one goes back a bit in history. These are words of George Wesley. Do all the good you can, by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can, at all the times you can, to all the people you can, as long as ever you can. Amen.
Right, I do have a couple of notices, but I need my props. Please do pick up as you're leaving the Lent menu for 2022. This is Churches Together. There is everything in there that you will need to know about what's happening at Lent. So please do pick one up as you leave. And our bookstall will be open after the service as well. We have some amazing books, so please do take time to have a look. Be Still is the book we are going to be using as a church over the Lent period. It is excellent. Please do pick that one up, and we'll be having sessions on Zoom and in person. We're going to be looking at some of it on a Thursday morning as well. The Archbishop of Canterbury's book, Embracing Justice, together with these wonderful little booklets. You don't have to have both. These are great for brief reflections in the morning. There's one especially for children as well. So could you please encourage any children and young people you know, perhaps pick one of those up for them. And our final one is The Hour Is Come by Andrew Nunn, who's the Dean of Southwark. And this is for especially Holy Week. It takes us all through Holy Week. So please do take time just before you leave this morning to have a look at those. Also, everything that's happening over Lent will have been on your email update. Speak to me afterwards if you don't get that. David, a quick...
Just wanted to say, when you've completed
Christopher.
your Eco-Church forms, could you put them in the red bucket on the table by the door?
Thank you, David. And Christopher, you would like a quick word, please.
I did mention in intercessions that there was possibly something practical we could do about the crisis in Ukraine. Some Ukrainian and Polish emigres in Aylesbury have started to collect emergency medical equipment. That could be quite simple. They're talking about bandages and plasters and triangular bandages and things like that. But if you do have any spare medical equipment that you don't need and would like to go to help in Ukraine, then please drop it off at 36 Chiltern Road. That's a house on the corner of Dobbins Lane and Chiltern, opposite the one with the blue badge on. Okay, thank you.